Hey guys, welcome to the channel. How are you? In case you haven't watched my other videos, please go and watch them. There is some important topic being covered there. And if you like the video, definitely if you like the video, then only you like the video, otherwise not. And you can subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on the important updates and the new videos coming in. And guys, you can comment on the comment section. Feel free to ask anything, something you want me to cover in my videos, so that I'll be aware what you people want me to cover. So yeah, please comment on the comment section. Yeah, so today's our agenda is we want to cover important questions which are being asked in interviews. You may have seen that you will be given a code snippet and you have to find out the output of that particular code snippet. And this kind of question try to understand what's your understanding of the language patterns and the core concept, the basic concept. So if you're well versed with those concepts, you are able to apply them, then definitely you'll be able to solve those questions. You may have hard concepts like hoisting, scopes, and call, bind and apply, context passing, and lot of other things as well. These questions will have all those concepts hidden in this. So if you are aware of those concepts, and you just have to apply those to get the answers, right? So if you try to practice this kind of questions, you'll definitely learn the concept as well. So it's like practical approach to learning the question, the concepts. So without any delay, we'll deep dive into the code. And also, guys, I'll be covering as many questions as possible in today's video, or else I'll make another video to cover some more questions so that you feel more confident on your coming interviews. Yeah. So yeah, again, we without any delay, we'll deep dive into the code. Yeah, let's come in. So guys, our first question is this. The function foo, which has two variables a and b. We are incrementing a, returning a, and we are calling foo. So the question here which is asked, like, what would be the type of a and what would be the type of b? Just give it a pause for 10 seconds. Think about this. Yeah, so guys, so let me just write it on the console. So I'll try to explain you what it is. So this is a function foo where two variables have been declared, a and b, and b is being assigned a value 0 and a is also assigned a value 0. We are incrementing a by 1 and then we are returning a. So now when we'll call this function, what will happen is a will get created inside this scope of foo and b will also get created, but since this b we are creating, like, we are assigning 0 to it, we are not using let var or const to declare the v. It is as good as declaring something like a is equal to 0 and then b is equal to 0. So as you know, if you'll not give any keyword like let var and const to define it, it will get created in the global scope. So basically b will goes out, the definition of b will go out of, and it will get hoisted something like this. And so now we have incremented a and returning a. So when you will try to find out the type of a, since we are trying to find the type of a outside the scope of foo, so there is no foo outside, there is no a outside of foo, so the type of a will be undefined because there is no a. The scope of a is within the foo function, but the b, since it got created in the global scope, it is available outside as well, so b should be a number. So let's just run it. So yeah, see, so a is coming as undefined and b is coming as number. So it covers two concepts, one is scoping and another one is hoisting. So yeah, so that's about this question. Hopefully you understood two course concept inside this question, and we'll move into the next question. So the next question we have here is a array given which has two values, jacket and t-shirt. As you can see, what we are trying to do is we are trying to modify the length of this array and we are making it 0. So what will happen to this array? So we'll again write it on the console and copy this as well. Let us think for 5-10 seconds. Take a pause. So yeah, so the clothes is a array and it has two values, so length is definitely 2. We are making it making the length as 0, that means we are emptying the array. So the array will get empty. And now if we will try to find out what's the value of clothes, so it will be empty array, as you can see. Yeah, so that was about it. That's important concept, like we can modify length like this as well. Okay, moving to the next question. So next question is a for loop. We'll just clear it out, refresh this page. The next question here is a for loop which starts from 0. It will run till I becomes 3, and we are incrementing I, and there is another function which is being defined in each iteration, and this function is named as log. What it basically doing is it is just consoling the value of I. Now on each iteration this function will get created, and this will get assigned to the as a callback to the set timeout function. As you can see, set timeout takes a callback that's being written here as handler, and it takes the timeout, like it will run after that much milliseconds. So this set timeout will take this function log, and this will run this after 100 milliseconds. So this when the for loop completes, it basically creates three set time, basically 3 timers which will be running after 100 milliseconds, sorry, consecutively. So the output, what should be the output of this? And this is very important question. This has been asked in so many interview. Yeah, so we'll just run it and see what happens. As you can see, it has printed three times. Why it's printing 3 times? We are expecting something else, right? We would be expecting that it should have printed 0, 1 and 2. And by the time, so what should have happened here is when I starts from 0, that's the first iteration, so it should have printed I is equal to 0, so means 0, and then it should have printed 1, then it should have printed 2. By the next time I would have become 3, so the condition is false, then it will not go inside this for loop, and then that might have happened, because that's what we are trying to put inside this log function, and log function will get run when the timer gets finished. So the for loop will finish first, and the timer will be running after the for loop, because we have introduced some delay, right? But why the 3 we are seeing 3 times? So basically what's happening, I'll try to explain here, is this I is getting created globally in this scope. So basically in JavaScript, if we have to create a new scope, we have to use a function. Since here there is no function, so basically this I is getting created globally, and this for loop is just incrementing it. So the for loop will finish off, and by the time for loop completes, I has become 3. So now the timer would have finished as well. So these timers would have also finished. Now they will be printing, they will be running this console.log statement, and now the I is no longer I is 3 basically. So it's not holding the previous values, it's just referring to the same I, the I which has been created globally here. So that I is already 3, and now if we try to print I, the value would be 3, and that is why 3 times it's giving 3. Then how can we fix to print like 0, 1, 2? The thing is, if we can introduce a new scope which can hold this value, so we can have so you may have come across let and const, right? So what happens through let and const is they are block scoped. Like if you have to use them, you don't have to create a new scope only using the functions. You can create new scope inside a block. So what all block we have, like if is a block, if else is a block, switch case is a block, for loop is a all these loops are a block, right? They provide blocks. So we have these structures which are like blocks, and if we have to create a new variable, we can create inside this, right? So this is a for loop, and we want to create scope a variable within the scope of this for loop. We don't want to create something which goes to a function or that goes globally. So we want something that just resides inside this for loop. So we can use let. So if we copy this and if we try to use let, what happens, it will be creating I within the scope of for. So when that happens, what will happen is for loop will be running 3 times, right? And it will be creating 3 I's. Those I are different, their scopes are different, so each will be present in the memory as different I. Don't think of it, don't get confused thinking that it's the same name I, then how can we create 3 variables, right, with the same name? But we can, because those refers to different blocks. Once the first iteration completes at the one block, then the next iteration completes, that's the next block. So likewise, so we can have three i's. And now if we try to run this code, you can see you are seeing 0, 1 and 2, because we are providing different scope of I. It's no longer a single I which was present globally. So we have fixed it. But just think that constant let was not there, then how could have we finished? Now how could we have solved this? Like using let, that's fine, and that's very good that we can create new variables, new scope within for. But if that's not the case, then what we can do? Then we have to use functions, right? That's the only way to go. So if that's the case, what we can do is we have to create function, right? So I'm going to create a function. So as we know, that function gives a new scope, and we'll take a variable called y, and we'll make this function run immediately. This we are making as immediately invoke function expression. We call it right. That's IIFE, immediately invoked function expression. That's what we are going to create here. So what happens here is, when we create function, it immediately gets invoked. So basically there you won't see any difference. Like you create functions, right, but you have to call it. What we are doing is we are creating a function and we are immediately calling it. It is as good as writing something like this, because if we have something like this, it's getting executed immediately. And since we are introducing this function, we also want the functionality to be same. We don't want that, okay, we are creating some function, now we have to call it. So it should get called immediately. That's why its name is immediately invoked function expression. Now we'll be passing I to it, okay, and all of this should go inside the function. Whatever we have created, this we are just creating anonymous function and we are calling it immediately, and let's see what happens. So it's not working. Let's see why it's not working. Okay, it's not working because we are using I here. We should use y, because that's getting wrapped the function expression whatever we have created, we are passing I to it, which automatically gets as y inside this function, and we should use y. So each of these functions, like these functions will get run 3 times, right? So each of these will have y as argument, and there will be 3 y's basically with the same name in the memory. So if we try to print now, just look what's happening. 0 and 2, we are getting the desired results. Either you can use let or you can do this. So earlier when we did not have the facility of let and const to create the block scope, we used to use this IFE to have a new scope, and also not blocking the things. Just all of the things will just be following the way they are. So that's the way. Yeah. So we'll move into the next question. Hopefully you have understood so many things from this question. So this question is covering things related to scoping. Basically it's using the concept, hidden concept is scoping, and the block scope, and the functional that we used to call it lexical scope. So it's, and also the IFE, immediately invoked function expression. So those 2 things you people have learned from this question. Now moving to the next question, we have a var e, then that's a variable, then we have a function also with the same name, and then we are calling a function. So we'll just copy paste it here. So just think about this, that we are creating a variable called a, and then we are creating another variable with another function of the same name a, and we are trying to console it. Just I'll pause for 5 seconds, just think about this, then we'll see. Yeah guys, so what happens here is we are creating a variable called a, and we are assigning a value 10. So what happens, JavaScript, when it reads through these sentences, first it reads, it will not execute it. So it will read var a, and then this function, which is basically the same name. So this will get hoisted on the to the top. So a will be present on the top by a hoisting, and then we are basically overriding the value of a with the 10. So we are creating a again in the same scope. So basically we are overriding it. So the earlier whatever we have created, this function is no longer there. We have introduced a new variable called a and assigned a value 10. So when we'll try to run this function a, it should throw an error that you can't create a function with the same name. Okay, the error is a little different. It says a is not a function, and as rightly said, a is number. If you try to see the type of a here, that's a number. So that happened because of hoisting. So again, it's hitting the concept of hoisting. We'll move to the next question. The next question is a function called foo, which is trying to console this. So I'll just pause for 5 seconds again, think through this question and we'll discuss. Yeah, right. So I'll be calling this function as well. Yeah, so I think in the foo function, what we are trying to do, we are trying to console this, and as we can see, this foo is not bound to anything. This is not bound to anything. Like, this is not there is no context which has, it is tied to a particular context. There is no context as such. It's not part of some object. So this basically tells what context this function foo belongs to. So there is no such context. Even when there is no such context, then it will go to the global context, which is a window. So it will go to the window object. So it will try to find what is this. So this is nothing but it's a global object, which is window object. As you can see, it's printing window. Yeah, it's a simple thing, but yeah. So it's again regarding the scoping other things. Yeah, again. So the next question we have is a array. If some of you are aware of ES7 syntax, then that's fine for you. If somebody is not, then I'll tell you what it is. It is a spread operator. What it does, it spreads out the value of an array, and also you can use the same thing in the object as well to spread the values. So we have this array and we are trying to spread it. So what's gonna happen after spreading this? So it's not a very tricky question as such. If somebody is knowing what the spread operator is doing, it's as simple as that. We could have done something like where a is equal to that array, and we could have just replaced that with the a here, and just, so what happens is the spread operator will just spread out the values and we see what happens. So yeah, as you can see, it has just spread out the values. Yeah, so that's about the spread operator. ES7, ES6, you'll see the syntaxes. Now the next question here is we are creating a promise, our own promise. I'll just write it here. Yeah, so what we are trying to do is we are creating a new promise. I don't know, many of you may not be knowing how to create a promise. So JavaScript in like ES2015, like ES6, they have given the syntax where we can create our own promises. Like earlier, if we have to create a promise, we used to use some libraries. Now JavaScript natively gives you promise. So now we can create a promise by using this constructor method called promise, and it takes a callback. As you can see, it's taking a callback, and the callback will have two arguments, resolve and reject, right? And so that's about creating new promises, and we are returning that promise. So I just explained it because some of you may not be knowing how to create the promise. Now inside of this we have a set timeout, means timer. What we are doing, we are providing a callback to it. As we have already discussed, that set timeout takes a handler, a callback, and the timer. So that callback will be running after 3 seconds. That's about it. So this particular code will run after 3 seconds. That's what that timeout does. Now what happens is this resolve of this particular argument, which is inside this callback, if you try to basically call that resolve, so you are basically resolving the promise. The promise will return as a resolved value and it will end. So basically this timer will run after 3 seconds, and so basically after 3 seconds this will get resolved, and this it will be printing it will be basically resolving this value a, which is already been passed here in my promise. Now what they are doing is they are calling this they are resolving this my promise dot then, and whatever after getting resolved, that's the argument. So again dot then block takes a callback for it, and the argument here we are naming it as value. We are consoling something and we are consoling value with that. So what should happen? So basically it's very straightforward question. It's just like the new promise has been created. Some of you which doesn't know how to create a promise may find it difficult, but if you know now, then I suppose you can follow with me. So when we are trying to resolve this promise, so what's happening, my promise, it's passing the value 123. 123 will go as a here, and after 3 seconds we are resolving the promise. So we are resolving the promise with the value 123. So when we'll try to console.log, we'll get that value only. So this should print my promise got resolved and 123. So it's still in pending status, waiting for 3 seconds. Yeah, so we have two console statement. The first one is because of The first is because of this. After 3 seconds, the timer has run and the promise is resolved. That is where we saw some pause, right? So promise dot resolve, promise resolved. That is because of this console. Then promise getting resolved. That got returned, and we are seeing this value. My promise got resolved with 123. Hopefully, it makes you understand. It has just touched a part regarding promises. I'll try to create a video totally on promises. I'll put so many questions like this so you people can understand more clearly, because there is so much gotcha as well. Now moving to the next question. Our next question is this. It's a function expression. We are naming it as myfunc, and this is myfunc. As you can see, it's a ify. It's a ify again, and inside this ify block, we are creating a variable called a, which will be having a value 10, and inside that we are returning a new function. So basically, it's a function inside another function. So this ify will run immediately and assign 10 to a and return a function which is just returning the value of a. So this whole thing is returning a function basically. So this myfunc is nothing but a function. So we are calling that function, and what should be the output of this? As you can see, this ify block will run immediately. So after running it, it will have a value called a having value 10, and it will return this function which is nothing but this a. So as you know, this is a function inside another function. This is a closer basically. So this inside function is a closer. As you know, the closer has access to the variables which is outside of its scope, like whatever scope it is residing. So this particular function is residing inside this outer ify function, so it can access the value even when it is not in this particular context. So basically this function is getting returned, and we are storing that is in myfunc, and we are calling myfunc here, even though myfunc doesn't, it's not inside the scope of that ify anymore. It is outside of that now, but it still has access to that a. That is what the closer is. Even though it's no longer inside that, but it still holds a linkage to this variable called a. It's still holding it in the memory, and it has access to it. So when we run the myfunc, which is nothing but this function, it will return 10. So basically it will return 10 here, and when we'll do console.log, so basically it will print 10. So that's what it's printing. So it was basically related to the closers. Now moving to the next question, we have this thing. Just copy it. What's happening here is there is a variable called a. It is an object, and it has a property called name having value foo, and we are using object.create, and we are passing a value a. And so object.create basically creates another object, and we can. So guys, we have, as we were discussing it, the new object getting created is a child to a. So this b is got created, but a is its parent. So basically b inherits each of its property, like from the a as well. So now that being said, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to delete the name property from b. And so this delete, what happens is in delete you can provide the object and then dot whatever the key name you want to delete, and this particular thing will be deleting that particular key from the object b. Now we are trying to console and see whether b dot name prints anything. So what do you think? Just think through this, and I'll just give a pause for 4 seconds, then we'll discuss this. Yeah, so again, this deleting b should have deleted the property name, and when we'll try to get the value b dot name, ideally it should be printing undefined, because name doesn't exist anymore in b. But there is a gotcha. We have created this b using, like, inheriting the properties of a. A has name still, so b will be printing the name, and the value would be foo. So if you see what b shows, b if you go to the prototype chain of b, it has name property in the proto object. So that means it is inheriting it from the a. So that is why it's still showing the value b, even though we have deleted it. Specifically we have deleted name from b, but since it's inheriting the values from a, it's still showing the name property, and that's why we were seeing the value foo. Now we have a very simple question, that is 1 plus 1, sorry, it has just printed the value. So 1 plus true, it's printing value 2. So basically what's happening is it's typecasting true to the number. So whenever in JavaScript we try to do addition between two things which are different, so it will try to change the second thing into the same type as of the first. So here 1 is number and it sees boolean value true here, so it is trying to change the type of true to number, and that is why this true has become 1 and 1 plus 1 is true. It is as good as this is as good as explicitly typecasting. So you could have done like this, and yeah, same thing. So basically it's doing the typecasting. Refresh this please, and this A is, yeah. So now we have another question. This question is, yeah, A is an array, and we are trying to create a property called foo inside A, and that will have a value 12. Now we are trying to console log what is the length of A. So just think through it. I'll just pause for 2 seconds. Yeah. So coming back to it, ideally when we are putting the value, when we are putting a new value 12 with a key called foo inside A, the length should have 1. But thing is, arrays are the arrays basically are two types, like standard arrays and associative array. So a standard array is nothing but where the indices will be always by default numbers. It starts from 0 and then 1, then 2, likewise it will be incrementing. But if you put something else other than, if you try to set something else, like we are trying to set foo here, so that goes to the associative part of it. So basically array is nothing but array is again object. We can have a property like this. That is what associative arrays are. So even though we have created foo inside A with a value B, it will not consider it as part of a standard array. The standard array still have a length of 0. So if you try to run it, you'll see the length 0. So if you see what is A, then A has value foo, with foo having value 12, but still it will not consider it as a valid value in the standard array, and still the length is 0. If you try to put something like A of 0 is 1, and now if you try to see what A is, you are seeing there are 2 values, and if you do A dot length, it's showing 1, because it is considering 1 as its value but not 12, because the standard array will have values as the keys as numbers. That's what it follows. Yeah. So now moving to the next question. This question is the last we are going to cover today. So as you can see in this question, we have, I'll just split it up there. There is something called where A is equal to 10. We have created a variable called A having value, we have assigned a value B, then we are calling B with value 40, and then we are declaring a function called P. So again we have touched a similar concept earlier as well, if you remember. So what will happen, JavaScript will read through this, it will read where A, then it will read where B. So basically this B will get hoisted, and there is nothing to read, all are the execution. Now while the execution will happen, so B will be getting called, B will get called with 40. So B is already present in the memory as a function, and we are calling that. When that happens, this X will become 40, and now just look inside this function, forget about what was outside, just think now that we got X as 40. Now inside this we are calling A immediately. So don't think about what's getting executed, first think what JavaScript has to read. So here it is it's creating there is a function here A, which will basically get hoisted to the top. Like first it has A is equal to 50, so that is that's the thing. A, we are assigning the value 50, but before that this function A will get hoisted, and then we are calling A immediately. When we are calling that A immediately, so A will get called as a function, and it will be printing X. So X in, like, this A function is basically inside this B function, so it will try to find X inside this A, but there is no X inside this, so it will go one level up in the hierarchy, and yeah, it sees X in B as an argument, so it will print the value which is we have passed, that is 40, and so yeah, so basically it will print the value as 40 here. Now we have a console statement. Just after this it will try to run console.log, which is A, but yeah, there is a gotcha here. So when we just have come inside this function, we had, like, while reading, A has got hoisted, okay, and now what happens is A is on the top, and then we are immediately calling it. So basically now the execution is happening. So this has happened, and I have already explained that it will be printing 40. Now the execution of this line will be happening after we have called A of 20. Now this execution will happen, A is equal to 50. So now we have overridden the value of A. So A was a function inside B. That is why we were able to call it like this. But now once that got executed, we have assigned a value called 50 to that A, and this A is still inside this function. This is not getting created globally, this is still inside this function, because as you know, this function A, when we do like this, there is something called hoisting, that will make a to the declaration like this. So basically a got hoisted, and that is why a is still there. It's just like it's no longer a function and we have assigned a value 50 to it. So when now it will read this line console.log. So after the function call, it's basically printing, it will print the a, and a is now 50. So first it will print 40 because of this a function call, and it will try to find the value x, which is nothing but 40. Then a is no longer a function, it has become a value called having value 50, which we are trying to print it here. And yeah, remember, this is no global declaration, it is the same a which was a function earlier. We have reassigned the value 50 to it now, and that is why we are creating a inside a. Don't get confused with the global declaration that this a will get created outside. No, that's not the case. Now when this b of 40 is finished, it will try to run this a console.log a is nothing but 10 outside. So that's all. So yeah, we'll just like run it again, yeah, just to confirm whatever we have told, that's working fine or not. Yeah, so it's printing x, which has come here like 40, and then it has become 50. A has become 50, that is why it's printing 50, and the outside a is still having the value 10, so that is why 10. So we have covered 10 questions altogether, and we have hit concepts like hoisting, scoping, and context and whatnot. So hopefully this video was very helpful to all of you and in your coming interviews, and I'll be covering more questions in the following videos, and I'll have some more questions on promises as well, so you'll get to know more about this. Thank you guys. If you like this video, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe it, otherwise you're gonna miss the important updates. And one thing lastly, that you people can go over the comment section and comment with your valuable comment, and if you want to cover any topic in particular, please ask me. I'll try to cover those topics as well. Thank you guys, have a good day. Hold.